cut the hand, switch, shooters on swoosh, hitters don't miss. Already just added a ton of y'all to my list. Bitch, death wish, not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots, hitting bricks, we testing the kids.
Welcome to Deep Thrones, the most entertaining World of Ice and Fire podcast out there. I'm your host, Sims. Your other host, Sheedy's here. What's up, Sheeds?
Hey, everybody.
And we have the third member of our podcast, the master of TikTok herself, Kins. What's up, Kins?
Hello. Hey, everyone.
Hey, Kins. Happy to have Kins. We had to have Kins on an episode. She's a part of the team, so it was important.
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's
and
my question, but I'm back.
we're bringing you deeper Thrones today. We'll take a look behind the episode, and we'll also discuss some things that we may have missed in our review. And hopefully, you guys notice that the audio is coming through a little bit more clear this time. Our producer, our executive producer, Sheedy, has made some real big gains on the audio side.
This has been a laborious task for me to clean up our Deeper Thrones audio because it's not the quality that we would like. Obviously, we're growing and learning every day. We have jobs outside of this, right? But we wanted to make it better. I want to give a quick shout out to friend of the pod, Garrett. He was honest with me and said, it's a great product, but it's just got to sound better, And I was like, I agree with it. I also kind of yelled at him a little bit. I like any good artist, I was first offended, and then I
Well, he also didn't deliver it that calmly either. I think he was talking a little bit of shit.
He was talking a slight amount of shit. Yeah.
But no, so good. I mean, that's good. We got to watch the film and get better. So hopefully,
Sure.
This sounds a bit better. But we've got a lot to cover. It was a longer episode last one, so let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, let's dive right into this thing. Looking at some of these rewatch notes, Chris. The funeral possession, Helena. She was zoning out a little bit.
Yeah, so this was first of all a touching scene. I think her name's Pia is the actress. Did a really good job with again not having any lines, but just showing the agony and the panic that happens being forced to be a public figure in a situation like this. But while all that is happening, there's a very focused moment where it looks like flower petals, or I think in the post-production they said it was actually hops that the small folk were throwing down, and Helena's just kind of zoning out and looking at it.
Yeah.
And her being a dreamer, like my mind immediately went to, well, what could that be kind of foreshadowing, or what is she seeing in those hops? And then I noticed later on at Dragonstone when Rhaenyra, it was like right after she got done talking to Daemon, or actually no, it was when she was playing with little Aegon and little Viserys, and there was like light coming in, and she kind of zoned out and looked up, reminiscent to what Helena did. And I'm curious, first of all, did you guys notice that too?
I did, but my mind when I saw her looking at the hops, my mind was like she probably is just picturing an ice cool like lager, maybe an IPA. Like just a Miller Latte, which of course is our podcast's favorite beer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're friends of the pod. They sponsor us.
What about you, Kins? Did you think the head was going to fall off during the funeral?
1000%, and I couldn't watch. Had to go like this because I definitely thought we were going to see some baby heads rolling, and that's not chill. But yeah,
no, it's not chill at all.
It's not show appropriate at all. But had it happened, they would have had people talking. So it's sort of like, I agree. I'm glad it didn't happen, but at the same time, missed opportunity.
Some comedy there. But
That's what I'm saying.
It is an interesting connection you draw between those two scenes, Sims. I definitely saw her as disassociating and trying to focus on anything other than what she's going through. But I hadn't put those two scenes together, so I wonder what that connection is.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out through the rest of the season. I'm assuming Helena's just going to meet more and more tragedy until it's all said and done.
So, question for you, not to derail, but in the books, did she go mad? Was she a dreamer before this, or did this event of losing her son make her go mad and start the visions?
She's not really a dreamer in the books, is she?
Oh,
so because it's third party and written years later, they don't have that kind of insight into how she's thinking. but she was always described as like aloof and non-present, not super verbal, things like that. So you could kind of deduct, and it makes sense that she would be a dreamer, or at least kind of socially,
I see.
removed.
When
But yeah,
when I die, I want a biography written about me, but I want it written third party many years later, so it's very inaccurate.
Cool.
and you're just like John Wick.
Yeah, it just sounds a lot cooler. Like someone lies about like what I did in my life. Chris,
You're
you had
like,
an interesting note about the King's Landing brothel that I thought was
yeah. So while I was going through my rewatch, and this woman was in the trailers too, so there was a lot of speculation about who she might be. But in the brothel scene in King's Landing, before we saw Aemon, there was a blonde, prostitute, I guess, for lack of a better word, dancer, whatever,
Lady of the Night,
lady of the night, and she,
paid
looked
companion.
super Tigerian, right? She had like the almost bleached blonde hair. I'm not sure. I didn't really catch her eye color. I don't think they were violet, or yeah, violet. But anyways, did some digging onto who that might be, and my leading theory is that her name's Essie, who is rumored in the books to have had an affair with a Targaryen and had a Targaryen bastard.
Wow,
So I think that won't be the last thing that we see of her in this series.
that's
Um,
interesting.
the
Yeah,
alleged father in the books is Aegon. So,
the
Interesting.
King Aegon, not
mhm.
Rhaenyra's 1-year-old son.
Right.
But
I don't think he has. I don't think
Clarification.
he has
No.
the Jerry's yet.
good, no, for sure. But that's interesting. I would be curious to see how that develops further.
I
Just
feel like
some facts, that we need more Targaryens in this world. Corlys might have a few bastards too.
these showrunners are so intentional about every single detail that I think you might be right. Like you might be onto something. It's got to mean something. It looked too much Targaryen to not be.
And
For
like you said,
sure.
they focused on her in the trailer.
To
You know,
make the trailer, you got to be. There's
That's
something
true.
trailer material. Let's go.
there.
Um, Another interesting scene that we noticed in the rewatch was Rhaenys talking to Corlys, and she said, "Meleys and I will not let the Queen falter."
Yeah, I think let's rewind a little bit to a year ago. It was I mean, back then it was called Midweek Mayhem. Now it's rebranded to Deeper Thrones. We're a little bit more sophisticated, but Kenzie was guest starring on one, and she mentioned that she didn't trust Rhaenys and took a hardline stance against, like, she's gonna betray Rhaenyra at some point. So I just wanted to follow up on that conversation and see where Kenzie's at now.
Kins, before you go, Kins, let me just scene set a little bit. After that episode of, we always have like a post production conversation. Chris like bookmarked it in his head. He was like, "I'm going to bring this up to her later on with Rhaenys."
See, here's my thing: is I don't know if I necessarily always. Maybe I said she would betray her, but I'm not backtracking. I'm just saying I don't like the way she treated Rhaenyra because it felt like a lot of jealousy, and she could have been a mentor to Rhaenyra, and instead it was like I got passed over for the crown, and therefore you're never gonna have it. And so I definitely at first thought she was not only gonna just be a bad aunt, but also be a roadblock for her. And I think the only reason it's changed is because her Rhaenyra's sons are Corlys's heirs. Like I think that's the only reason her allegiance
Mm,
shifted. I don't think
mm,
it's because she's now loyal and a good feminist. Like I don't think she's now supporting Rhaenyra because she loves her or out of any sort of loyalty. I think it's just because it helps her acquire power and it gets her as close to the throne as possible and all that stuff.
mm.
Um,
Interesting.
Do you think that Rhaenyra, to in Rhaenys' eyes, has earned Rhaenys' respect?
I do think she's changed a little bit, her tune. I also think she looks at Damon and sees the mistakes that Damon's making in the way that
Uh,
Damon still covets the crown and can never bend the knee and all that stuff and really respect
Hmm.
Rhaenyra. And
yeah.
I wonder if she's changing her tune a little bit.
I also think
Jeez, what's your thoughts?
I think Rhaenys is full. Like, because also Rhaenys last season, like Corlys was like, "We're done. Our pursuit of the throne is over," and then Rhaenys was the one that
Yeah.
was like, "Nah, she's like, you're right. Our pursuit is over, but we're a player in this, and like Rhaenyra is the only one holding the realm together." And I think honestly, every time Daemon does something stupid, it just makes Rhaenys like Rhaenyra even more. Like
Mm-hmm.
the whole, like, let's be honest, the head decision, we'll call it the head gate.
Headgate.
Headgate. When that happened, and then Rhaenys at the table, she was the first. Rhaenys was the first one to look at Daemon. She knew. She knew.
Dude, imagine if the head fell, if the kid's head fell off, it could be it like it was on the road. It could be Roadhead. Come on,
Oh
That's
my
come
true.
on,
god.
come on.
For a second, I didn't know which way you were going with that, and I thought you were going to say the head like fell out of Damon's pocket while they were like, "Who did this?" And then Damon's like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, oh, this I don't know. Yeah, no.
The
Him
memes
as
on
a
that
child.
scene,
And
the
it was
memes on that scene were fantastic.
terrible. My Syria interrogation scene. Let's talk about that. Rhaenyra is
Yes,
reading about Aegon's conquest.
and we'll dive into this as we go through the house that the dragon built later. But when I was rewatching, I froze on this book that Rhaenyra was reading, and it turns out it was a passage of Aegon's conquest, and it was just talking about it was after Aegon conquered the Six Kingdoms, and he turns his attention to Dorne, and on that page is Rhaenys Targaryen, his sister wife, fighting in Dorne. So very definitely some foreshadowing there for sure. I think,
Yeah,
um,
I don't
like
know.
we just said, like everything's super intentional that they put in this show. So
I will say this. I don't know much about that specifically. It's been a long time for me since I've covered that part of the fire and or blood. But I will say Ryan Condal he's really a Westeros nerd, and he's like a huge fan of it. So like you guys both have said, like everything they do has a point. It has a little bit of a tip of the cap to the real avid book readers like you, Chris, who can look at that and go, "Oh, okay, we see sort of the seeds being planted here."
yeah, it's do some research if you feel like it, but I think there's
Don't
definitely
tell me
something
don't
there.
tell me to read.
Well, not you. I'm talking to our listeners.
Oh
Listeners,
yeah,
do some research if you
listeners,
feel
you
like
do
it.
all the research you like, but don't beware of spoilers because they're ripping them all over the place right now. I'm seeing them all over in the meme world. Yeah, and I'm like,
Oh
relax,
yeah.
guys. Everyone, chill with the spoilers. All
Well,
right.
that's the thing, and I think we do a good job at balancing not just letting rip what happens, but there's people out there that are like, "Oh, I read it, so I'm just gonna like post it online." It's like,
Yeah,
well,
we don't
you're
spoil on
cool.
this podcast. We do not spoil on this podcast. Also, though, it's crazy. Just wait when Otto dies from autoerotic asphyxiation. It's in the books, but no spoilers. That technically is a weird scene. I'm interested to see how they do that on the show.
Autoerotic. Yes.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Autoerotic.
That's fantastic.
We're having a good
That's,
time here.
that's
Uh,
fantastic.
Speaking of asphyxiation, Aegon hangs all the rat catchers. That was just natural.
That's a fantastic
Not
transition
planned.
right there.
Not planned.
Yeah, you know, this is why we're professionals at this.
It's a
Um,
shame. It's a shame we don't have a paywall to listen to this.
we might make it happen.
99 cents per
Step
month.
one, clear up the audio on Deeper Thrones. Step two,
Paywall.
monetize the audio on Deeper Thrones.
Well, let's before we get too cocky. Let me hear the edit and stuff. I'll text you guys afterwards. I'm just like, it's no good. It's no good.
We'll edit that part out then.
But
Um,
talk about
so
that.
yeah, at the hanging scene of all the rat catchers, I just wanted to call out, and it stood out to me on the rewatch, not in the moment. Otto like had every right in the world to lose his freaking shit. Like I thought maybe he overreacted a little bit because things didn't go exactly to his plan. But in hindsight, all that Aegon had to do was just like hold off killing Blood for a little bit longer and just run all the rat catchers down a lineup and have them choose who it was. It would have been over in like half an hour.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. It is terrible. Otto's anger in that episode, I think, across the board was right, was justified.
Yeah. I think in
Yeah,
the review, I said, you kind of have to know, like, you have to stroke Aegon's ego. Like, you got to know your audience if you don't want to get fired in that moment. But then looking back, I
he
was
wasn't
like,
even
that
ready
was a
for it.
really dumb decision.
Yeah, I think he was just ready to tell Aegon like you are a fool. And then like even when Aegon fired him, he sort of just like looked at him like, fine, it's your own fucking funeral, buddy. But Otto, of course, still will do everything he can to advance Aegon's power.
Because it's his own. I mean, it's not like he's not selfish in that, right?
For
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah, I felt bad for the rat catchers. Imagine just being a rat catcher and they hang you just because of your, that sucked.
Tell me why I
Yeah.
felt bad for Blood and Cheese. I don't know why. I
I
felt
felt bad. I actually felt bad for Blood too. Like when Aegon showed up, I was like, oh, he looks so scared.
and then I was like, wait a minute, this man just chopped off the head of a child. Why do I feel bad for
Yeah,
him?
Yeah.
technically he got what he deserved a little bit there.
Well,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
But then even like as the dog is staring up at Cheese while he's hanging, I'm like, oh,
me too.
I felt bad for the
I feel
dog.
bad. Yeah, but I felt bad for both of them for some reason.
Do
And
you think the dog was sad, or was the dog like, "That's what you fucking get"?
he went, oh,
So yeah, I was like in memes that came out afterward, they're like, "Oh yeah, the dog got the last laugh," but when you
Dog
watch
is-
it, the dog's crying
yeah,
in the
he's
scene.
whining.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
crying with laughter.
Evil dog laugh.
It's so laughed so hard.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was a strong episode from Otto across the board, and his anger
I
was
agree.
Well,
against
have you guys
Aegon
seen the
and
memes of Otto thinking about switching sides?
That'd be great. Otto
Oh
rolls
yeah,
up to Dragonstone,
He's like,
just like he's just like, "I made a terrible mistake, Your Grace."
these people are idiots.
Oh, Grace. Yeah,
honestly, dude, Rhaenyra and Otto combined together, they would rule the world.
Could have been magic.
that's a match made in heaven. That's a match made in heaven.
Otto just overstepped. It could have been him. He could have been the hand of the queen.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And then Kristen, we send in Sir Arik to kill him. So toward the end, Allison suggests that Otto goes to Highgarden instead of Old Town to get the Tyrell
Right.
Bannerman to your cause.
Yeah, so I just because this is one of those things where it's just a lot of dialogue and it's easy to miss the importance of what's being said here. So Otto, after he gets fired, he suggests, "I'm just going to go back to Old Town. Your son Darren's there," which the Darren reveal was awesome. But Allison, in return, goes, "Well, no, you should actually go to Highgarden because we're having problems." Paraphrasing here, but we're having problems getting all these houses of the Reach to join Ormond Hightower in that march east. So the importance of that is essentially there's discord within the Reach, and it's gonna. I think probably in next episode we're gonna see a lot more of that. So just like a few houses to be on the lookout for. The Tarleys of Hornhill, who of course we remember from Samwell Tarley, and we actually saw Hornhill on Game of Thrones.
Sweet little Sam.
Um,
Sweet little Sam.
the Rowans of Golden Grove, who we have not seen.
Oh no, don't care about them at all.
The Caswells of Bitterbridge, which Bitterbridge is actually on the march to King's Landing from the Reach, so
Got
that could be a very important location. And then the Red Wines of the Arbor. So the red wines aren't landlocked, right? So the importance there, I think, coming up within maybe this season, maybe next season, is they're gonna have a fleet, maybe combined with, I don't know if we think about like the Western powers, so like the Lannister fleet, potentially the Greyjoys,
Boys.
like all the like Faircastle, all that stuff. So, but I think the Arbor's fleet might have a role to play against the Valerian fleet at some point.
For
So,
sure.
and again, we don't talk spoilers, so this isn't like based off anything I know, but this was just what was hinted at in that small conversation that Allison and Otto had.
Other than the autoerotic asphyxiation, we're not going to spoil anything else. That's the only thing that sort of circle, possibly next episode. He's got a lot of time on his hands, and he can pursue his own interests. So let's go to the house that the dragons built now. House that the dragons built is a great show. You guys should watch it. It is a 20-minute sort of little episode after House of the Dragon that they put on Max that just tells you about a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and it's awesome. It's very cool.
It is, and it's cool to see how it's grown like I know that Game of Thrones did like a behind the episode, but I don't remember it being like 20 minutes. I think it was like a 10
So
to 15
pretentious.
minute
It
thing.
was they would interview Dave and Dan, and they would
Oh
sit
yeah,
there and talk about the decisions they made like they were good.
See,
they loved gobbling themselves.
I love the house that the dragons built. I like those, but the recap after each episode, you know how it transitions
Yeah.
immediately into like
Hmm.
interviews with the actors and the showmakers.
Hmm.
That I hate because I think they're interviewing them and like the actors are being like, "Yeah, I played it this way and I was trying to portray this." And I'm like, "No, you don't get to do that." But the house that the dragon built is actually like diving into all the details on the set and all the how the
Hmm.
production, and that made me respect this show so much more than I already did.
I agree.
I love this, but yeah,
I hate the post episode interviews.
yeah,
I don't know why. It's because first off, the actors I can tell you do not want to be there. It is an obligation. It is not something they want to do. They're in full outfit. Like when you see them do interviews in their own clothes, they don't want to be there either. But when they're doing them in their costumes, they're probably forced to come to set that day, get made up. They probably had to act a little bit and then do that. They're not in the mood for it at all, and they're just like, "Yeah, I was acting."
Yeah, I was acting. Tom, I love Aegon's character or Aegon's actor.
yeah.
I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
he would be a hoot to hang out with.
Tom Glencarney is a very seems like a very amiable guy. The time I've told this story a million times. Obviously, when I got my photo with him, you have about 8 seconds, and I walked up to him, and I was wearing like a red shirt, and he had a red shirt on. He just goes, "We're matching, mate," and he like was one of the ones that just sort of like they told you they're like you don't touch them, but if they touch you, it's okay. It's very weird. It's sort of like going to a
In a
strip club.
strip club.
Yeah, it's but you're meeting celebrities, and he just like threw his arm around me and he pulled me in, and I sort of look like his dad because I'm a foot and a half taller than him, and not made up Hollywood style. So but it was cute. It was a good time.
Is
Yeah,
it wee
I
lad?
think
He's a wee little guy. Yeah, he's a wee little lad.
Hmm.
Yeah, they all are.
yeah, all yeah.
Corliss and Laris are very tall.
Oh,
Corliss and Laris have to be like 6'4", both of them. Yeah, Laris is a very tall
Mhm.
guy.
Speaking of Laris, he's been. I kind of love how they've been playing him this second season.
He's great.
Like, I feel like he was a little bit too involved with Alicent last season for my liking, but
mm.
here he's like lurking in the background, but also still making an impact and being useful. So
Someone asked me, they're like, after episode 1, when she was smanging Cole, and he was like, I heard, I called for you, but you were busy. They're like, do you think he's jealous? I was like, no, not at all. He's just letting her know that he knows.
Mm.
He
right,
just gets off by that. Like, everyone's like, does he want to be the hand? I was like, no, I think he just gets off by getting Otto fired. He just wants to fuck around. Like, I'm genuinely serious. That's my interpretation of Laris. He's just
Mm.
like, what can I change today? What can I affect? What can I
he's
change through my actions? Oh, Otto got fired because technically I planted that seed. That's cool.
Interesting.
he's. It's not chaos as a ladder for him. It's just chaos is.
That's right. Wow. Whoa.
I
Clip
respect that more.
Whoa. We need a paywall ASAP.
Clip that.
But anyway, we get to the house that the dragons built. They're smashing Legos in this episode. And the good news is they weren't the real Legos from season 1. Viserys' little
They
kingdom
weren't the real Legos. And Patty Considine actually reached out on Instagram, I think, to Tom Glenn Carney and was like, they spent hours making the
Yeah.
set and you just smashed everything.
Funny
I don't
little
think Patty knew they weren't the real Legos.
He was gonna roll up the set. He's gonna give him that smoke. He's gonna just like Viserys would back in the day. No, but it goes to show you that the massive. I mean, the House of the Dragons build gives me anxiety a little bit, seeing how massive this production is.
Oh
They,
yeah.
they remove that. They put in the fake ones. He destroys them. It's just like Jesus. Like
They
not a-
they literally had to make all new fake ones to get destroyed. Like they spent hours making those to get destroyed. But I do think we'll see that actual original set like in some sort of auction or something.
like a
Hopefully.
museum.
Well, I mean, I hope that they do like some sort of like charity auction at a gala or something. I don't know.
Okay,
That's super Hollywood, right?
we'll place a bid. We'll put a bid in there and see if we can get them Legos here. The filming of the funeral was in Caceres, Spain.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So both of you guys watched House that the Dragons Built, right?
Yes.
do you prefer Caceres as a King's Landing location or Dubrovnik, Croatia, where Game of Thrones King's Landing was?
I feel like they both to me just are King's Landing. You know what I mean? I just when I see them, I'm not like this is different. I feel the shows do such a good job interweaving them that I don't notice a difference. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like Game of Thrones, like the Red Keep, as long as that's consistent, you could just be like it's a different street over here that they're going through. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But that being said, Dubrovnik.
Okay, Kens.
Couldn't tell you. Don't even know which you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 3, I heard King's Landing is going to be filmed in Philly, so that'll be interesting.
Hell yeah, love that. It's always sunny there, I hear.
Fuck you.
But they, I shouldn't laugh at that. That wasn't that funny. But
Laugh at it.
Caceres, I think, adds more depth. I think the set moves a lot more. Like when we were looking at that funeral procession, I felt more movement than I did, for example, when Cersei was walking her walk of atonement.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, that could just be a recency bias, but I just feel like it's a bigger, wider feel to Caceres than there is to Dubrovnik.
Yeah, that's true. It's got. I mean, it's such an old city too.
Yeah.
Watching them walk through it. The buildings just look ancient, so it really does fit. And I mean, also with like the set that they built, it sort of seamlessly ties in. Like you feel like when you go from the Red Keep to the streets of that city, that is a real city and not a set. You don't miss a
Mhm.
beat. You're like, this is the same world. I don't feel out of it, which is important.
And they basically made a silicone body for Jaehaerys, and then they had to cut that motherfucker's head off again. It's
That kid's
just
like
twice.
that's honestly like what a cool role that was. You know what I mean? Like if you're an actor, especially a young one coming up, that's got to be really fun, like to be a part of that. But I mean, and it looked really cool how they did it, like the stitching and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
they did a good job.
Yeah, they were like
yeah.
individually placing the little hairs on his head, and I'm like, and then they just had to cut his head off.
But it's, imagine, yeah, imagine being the parents of that kid who are just like, I mean, he's getting a SAG card and he's getting paid well, so he's part of the union and he's going to probably get a bunch of other work. So this is a great jumping off point for any child actor to be on a show like this. But you have to sign off on everything. Child actor laws are so strict. Like the parents have to be there for everything. They're just there. It's like they're like molding this like child that looks just like him. It's just like
I
got to be a
mean,
very surreal thing.
he crushed it at the small council scene. That was peak comedy.
That was a great scene. You needed that because it's just sadness from here on out.
Yeah.
All right. So the scene where the rat catchers were hung, half of the bodies were stuntmen and rigged pulleys, and they hid the pulleys and the ropes in such an interesting way that the guys essentially they were like looked like they're hanging, but it like went down in
Hmm.
their clothes, and they essentially were like standing. They said it
They were
doesn't
like
look
standing on a harness.
standing. Yeah, it was wild. Uh,
It, I just like if I'm tasked with this, if I'm on set and someone's like, make this stuntman look like he's hanging, I wouldn't even know like where to like. I would probably think like, oh, CGI maybe, or like have some sort of pedestal under him and have that off screen.
it's
And
probably how
these
they do it.
guys
It's
are,
probably often how they do it for sure.
yeah, I mean, these people are the best in the business, I think, and you can't even tell the difference between the fake bodies hanging and the stuntmen that were hanging.
No, they did a great job. And I that was my favorite part of the episode because they had the actor who played Cheese and he was in the thing and he was like, "This is,"
Hmm.
he was like talking about it. He's like, "It feels like I'm just standing," and obviously safety first and foremost on sets, and we've seen that tragically so recently with the whole Rust thing with Alec Baldwin. Where like obviously they probably run through these rehearsals like 1,000 times to make sure that like, all right, they're comfortable, they're good, and then they just
Hmm.
stand there and zone out for a while.
Well, it's crazy that they didn't just like have them hanging there in they were comfortable. Like they were just like, oh yeah, we could chill here. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, how do you get into this business where you're like, yeah, I can make that man stand in the air? What?
it's you're. I mean, you're essentially like an engineer, you're like a set engineer.
What
Yeah.
if you have to pee
Oh,
though?
man.
That'd be annoying. Be like, lower him. I got to go to the bathroom. I'd be that guy. I'd be like, all right, it's time for my break.
Just whip it out. Just whip it out up there.
That's a fun way to get sued. It's a fun way to get a charge.
Catch a
Um,
case.
so apparently, what they showed us is that Dragonstone is all one set. The rooms are all interconnected, and Rhaenyra's library uh, contains like all of these scrolls, like real history scrolls.
Yeah, I thought this was so for me. This was the coolest part of the episode was seeing that it wasn't just like room to room. Like Dragonstone is essentially like a castle that they built, and the actors and actresses can just like move from room to room and still be filming. That's how we saw like the Eric and RX scenes, and it kind of looked really fluid. Even like in the earlier episode where Rhaenys is like walking in and talking to Damon and stuff. So um, on one hand, it makes it very easy for them to act, is what they all keep saying. But on the other hand, like you can have so much playing space for the minute details. So you talked about the scrolls for a second. They said that all of those were like operative, which is I don't even know that I believe that. Like I
What does
don't
that mean? That they're all paper
like they all have like
writing?
Valerian stories in it.
Oh, I call bullshit on that. No,
I
but
don't. Yeah,
that is
there's no way.
that's
There's
kind of
no way.
the level of dork though that like you never don't
Yeah,
underestimate the power of dorks.
that's true. I mean, I know for a fact from freezing the screen that the stuff that Rhaenyra was reading and like on her table and all that stuff were all
Oh,
operative. But I don't know. I mean, there were. It looked like there were hundreds of scrolls in there.
yeah, and you just reminded me something from our episode that I said I would verify on Deeper Thrones. I also froze the screen. She was shoeless in that scene with Eric and Ari. So just wanted to, I made a promise to the listeners and I delivered on my promise. I'm not even going to smile or laugh. It's not funny to me.
Looping.
I told them I would verify it. I did. So let's continue with
Oh
what you were
boy.
saying about the scrolls.
I thought you were about to do some sort of profound like reveal here that you were, verifying.
You were there. You've heard the podcast, right? You were sitting next to me when we talked, and I made a promise to the listeners, and I have fulfilled my promise.
Nailed it.
Oh man. Kens, any thoughts on the Dragonstone set?
Oh, that would be so cool. That library is a dream. I would love to just go visit and verify for us. You know what? I'll do that.
We're gonna
Yeah.
sneak you on Arik style. We're gonna have you go in full Kingsguard gear
There you
or
go.
Queensguard gear. Go
I
on.
like her hair.
I will say, yeah,
Hell
she's
yeah.
got the Targaryen hair.
Well,
Just got to grow the beard and mustache now.
I was thinking more the Cargill hair, but yeah.
That's true. That's true. So
I'll
another thing I want
frequently
to
just read on the set. Like, I gotta check all these.
yeah, that's actually scroll verifier.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that when you brought up the two different King's Landings, let's talk about the two different Dragonstones.
Hmm.
Game of Thrones Dragonstone doesn't hold a candle to this dragon. So Game of Thrones Dragonstone had two locations: beach and that Daenerys room, and then the throne room. There was also like the throne room. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Beach, painted
The table.
throne room.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm. And the table didn't look nearly as cool. It didn't light up.
Did not.
Well, actually, did it toward the end? I think
I don't
maybe at
know,
the
man.
end she
Tanner
did once.
fell off his own ass about prophecies that he didn't even check.
Yeah. But no, you're right. But it also makes sense too, right? Like by the time it got to Stannis's hands, the Targaryens were long gone, so it wasn't special to them anymore.
No, he just saw it as a war table. Like, how can I
Yeah.
get my right as
Mhm.
be the king? And as actually we were talking about Kins sneaking on Arik style, Eric and Arik, the two actors, real twins, Elliot and Luke, and they have like martial arts backgrounds.
Yeah, so the fight scene was fun for them. They're just like talking about how it was a challenge and they were actually trying to beat each other and stuff. And they did all the stunts. The only thing that they didn't was I guess Arik or Eric kicks the other one into a big pot.
Yeah.
And they had to do that a lot, so they had a stuntman do that one.
One of them said like they wanted to, but the production team was like, "No, we're not. Sorry."
Yeah. Because they didn't have a helmet on either. So if you're getting repetitively kicked into this pot and your head pops back, you're
head falls off.
toasted.
And they got another situation with these heads falling off.
Did you see that they also intentionally built that fight so that we don't know who won?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did a good job because I was confused. It's like when Sir Laurent comes in and goes, "Who is Eric?" We all are near in that moment where it's literally it's the you're at the White Sox game and they have the 3 hats with the ball and they're doing this
Yeah.
and they're like, which one's which? And you're standing there like, I don't know.
Oh no, those are easy to follow. Come on.
Dude, with my eyes, I can't see. I'm like looking up there and I'm like, I don't know. I
No,
could.
they like every single cut that they
Yeah.
made. So like the one cut on the leg, they also mimicked that on the other brother in the fight
Yeah.
sequence. The punch in the eye. Yep.
Well, when we
The
watched
face.
live, Chris, I got it wrong. Remember, I actually thought it was the other one that won because of the cut on
Mhm.
the leg, and you're like, no, I think it's Eric that won.
And
Yeah.
I thought it was a chance that the bad guy. I thought Arik might have won, and he was like kind of stepping toward Rhaenyra with the sword. And I was like, if it was Eric, he would have dropped the sword, right? But then it makes sense because he killed himself.
I will say the way they did it was very emotional, but they really, I think, an opportunity to have had Arik win. And then when they're like, they're all standing there and he's just like slowly stepping forward. And then it's on Sir Laurent and those guards that came in to just make a decision of like, even if it is Eric, we can't risk it. And they just cut him down. You know what I mean? Like that would have been a really emotional scene.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like, regardless of who won, even if Eric won, like Sir Laurent, how does he know? You know what I mean? He's got to just make a decision in that moment. Would have been a real interesting moment.
That would have been good. That would have been better. Why don't they give you a job?
You know what? You read the scrolls. I'll write the scripts. We're all getting
Yeah.
jobs.
Let's
Chris,
do it.
Chris is
Honestly,
avocado for the asphyxiation. We all got our goals and our.
Perfect.
I think I like the way I like having it just begin and end with the brothers. Because I think
It's
there's a
true to the books.
poetry. I think there's a poetry there that wouldn't have necessarily rang true if you have someone else ending the other brother's life.
Yeah, it's fair, and it's like it's true to the books too that the brothers they say die in each other's arms. And it's something obviously Eric winning. I think again, a little bit of Black's propaganda. The Greens are always just a little in the writing. They're always like an afterthought to So I sort of question Condell's motivations with that.
Well,
You
one
know,
moment where blacks didn't look so good. Can I ask, how did Rhaenyra not escape that room while the fighting was happening? Because she's like banging on the door that Sir Lawrence just ran in, and I'm like, how is it locked now?
I'm not sure. I think there was 2 doors, and the one he came in was over there, and she was pinned back this way, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure. But I agree. How is no one
What's
opening
the
that door at
price
this point?
now?
I
I'm
had,
like,
I had the same
well,
feeling.
and her handmaiden was able to leave pretty quickly, so
I think Rhaenyra was just like, I want to see how this turns out.
one second. Let me just.
I paused it, and I didn't pause it, but I listened closely, and if you listen closely while they're fighting, you can hear Rhaenyra say to Sir Laurent, like, I got 20 on the one on the left. Yeah, I think she stayed because she had a little bit of side action.
With herself? Yeah.
She's like, yeah. Oh, I just did like a thumbs up and a thumbs up. Oh God, did you see that?
whoa.
Very
Did.
cool. Wow, this thing
All
is
right.
awesome, guys. This thing is awesome. This app. Which brings us to Chris.
Well, actually, before we get into the game, I do just want to note something that a friend of the pod, Allie, sent us an article on. Either I think it was this morning or yesterday morning. It was a article that said that Sansa mentioned the Arik and Eric Cargill fight, and it had to have been in season 1 because she was still kind of young and dumb at this point. And she was talking about how romantic it was that these two brothers were, intertwined in this dance of swords and stuff, and ended dying in each other's arms. Um, and then we get to see it, whole different show later, and see how actually brutal and you know uh, cold it was. I mean, it wasn't. There's not much love there until the end. I think when
Yeah,
Eric was like, "Yeah, I can't believe what I've done."
you're right. They romanticize these battles, and Sansa does it a lot in the books as well. She's very into
Mhm.
like the stories and the lore of like the romantic, nature of the battles. And then like whenever there's a battle scene, it's just guys screaming and arrows on fire in people's chests and stuff.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
People shit in their britches.
See,
people
that's
shit.
really cool, and this is why I love listening to Deep Thrones, is because I would have fully missed that. And I also, we skipped over a little bit the they name drop Darren. Alicent does. We skipped
Oh
over
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
missed it. I watched the episode twice. I missed it. So
Oh my goodness!
that
We're
was
very
big.
excited.
It was the scene right before Kristen Cole and Alicent hook up again, and it was
Yeah.
Otto and Alicent talking. And well, we talked about it earlier in this episode, so you missed it again there too,
When
which
you
is pretty
mentioned it, I was
funny.
like, "Oh, they did say it."
Okay, okay.
It's official. It's a big deal for book nerds.
Yeah.
Aaron is he's a good boy.
I think it's
We're
really
back.
cool.
That was huge for morale. I'm not gonna lie.
They did it like a kind of like a Marvel movie where they're like a superhero drop, at the end. Like you see Samuel L. Jackson after the credits and he's walking up to someone and it's just Otto walking up to like a 12-year-old, just like, you're in the war now. Get on a dragon. Quick, quick. We need you to burn people.
He's gonna be I feel like he's gonna be the most balanced out of the three.
This dragon is Tessarian.
Yes.
All right.
I've been hearing a lot about him on TikTok, so I was excited to see if they brought him in, and I was even listening for it in the episode, and I fully missed it. So thanks for calling it out, guys.
It's toward the end. If you rewatch the episode, it's got to be in the last like 15 minutes. I think it might even be after the sword fight. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because then it goes straight to Kristen Cole and Alicent getting after it, I believe. So
I've had enough of it.
So
My fill.
So game time. So this episode we are going to do an iteration of a very popular game that we love. It's called 5 Seconds. So essentially, in the 5 Seconds game, a player asks another player a question in which they need to name 3 things. The whole point of it is you have to name it within 5 seconds, so it's supposed to be something relatively quick or simple. So an example would be, name 3, cities in Illinois or something like that.
Springfield, Chicago, and Bourbonnais.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
That's how you do it, though.
Yeah, that's how you do it. So we're going to do a Westeros version.
Yes, the Westeros version is important. Whenever you add an element of time, regardless of what your knowledge base is, it's difficult. Whenever that time, it's just frazzled. 2, we rarely play this game without having a few cocktails. So this is a weirder version where my brain is almost going to be too fast.
Yeah, we're gonna get tripped up. I'm gonna keep the timer here.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I trust you.
Fire that yawn up.
All right. Who wants to go first? Chris, you want to ask one first to one of us? You ask me first.
I'll ask you first. Okay. We'll tee this up. Name 3 mythological creatures in the Game of Thrones world.
Dragon, kraken, giant, children of the forest. I didn't know if dragon counted mythological.
You got like 5 in 4 seconds. So good job.
I didn't know if it counted because dragons are real. So technically, but I guess giants and children are too, but they're considered mythological to people south of the wall. Chris, you want to ask Kinsey one then? Like we each get our turn out and then the other 2 ask.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. That works. Kins, name 3 castles in Westeros.
Hightower? No. Dragonstone? The Red Keep.
Okay. Well, you were over, but it's Old Town, right?
Well,
the
Hightowers run Old Town and High Garden. Wait, is the High Tower? You can call it the High Tower?
I think the High Tower is
it's part of the castle.
Yeah. It's in Old Town. The High Tower is the castle.
You guys are being nice.
Yeah, it's like a big lighthouse. But you were still over time, so let's not.
All right. Okay.
Are you going to time your own, or do you want me to time for when I ask you, Chris?
You can time since you're asking.
All right, Chris.
So scoring right now, you have 1. Ken says nothing.
All right, Chris. Name 3 characters that Sheedy finds attractive.
Alicent, Daenerys, Sansa.
Yeah, you got it.
You
really.
Otto. I should have said Otto. Actually, I should have ripped Otto.
Guess what? Would have counted. All right, Ken.
Okay.
Name 3 characters that could beat up Chris in hand-to-hand combat.
Arik, Eric, Damon.
Nice.
You also could have said Otto, and I would have accepted it. Can you imagine? Otto would work your ass, dude. Otto would work.
I would beat the shit out of Otto.
No,
it'd be so much fun.
He'd beat your ass, and you just go, "Yo, Grace."
I think I could beat Otto's ass.
Dude.
Doubt it.
Dude, I would get in Otto's little booty.
No, you would not. No, you wouldn't. All right,
Yeah,
kids.
I'd be a booty pirate in Nato.
All of us have one now.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Wait, who am I asking first?
Either one of us, whichever one you want
Okay.
first.
I'll go with Sheedy first. Okay. Name 3 members of Team Greens that are Targaryens.
Oh, Aemond, Aegon, Helena, Darren.
Nice. Well done.
Nice.
Well done.
So
That's too
technically,
easy.
we've all gone, and I have 2. Kinsey has 1. Chris has 1. So, Chris, you have to get this to tie. If you don't get this, then I am the victor of said game of 5 seconds.
Wow. Way to put the pressure on, because pressure matters in 5 seconds.
I'm
Like
just
that was
setting the scene.
Oh gosh. All right. Here we go.
Listen to the podcast.
Okay.
All right.
Chris. Name 3 team members of Team Black that are not Targaryens.
Corlys, Laenor, Laena, Baela.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
We didn't know, post-mortem or, still in the mix.
Who are the Corlys, Laenor, and then,
Laena, Baela.
I was going to contest Laenor, but I feel like you
Yeah, Baela's a Targaryen.
Yeah.
Laena's not. I'll give Laena Valerion, but yeah, you got 3. All right, so it's a tie.
Alive, so I bet he would be.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, tie.
So we got a tie. So we need a tiebreaker from Ken's.
Well,
I deserves it. Another one.
Told me to ask 2 questions.
You know what? You're good. We should ask each other, Chris.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Time it.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
All right, Chris. Name 3 slippery characters. Go.
Larys, Varys, Littlefinger.
Yeah.
They're slip masters.
I meant more physically, like they look slick, but you're right. Those guys are slippery, how we say it, like more metaphorical.
So what did you have in mind for who looks slick physically?
Look, Theon always has a dampness about him.
Ooh,
Corlys is the sea snake, and when I think of snakes on land, they're slippery, and then in water, they're probably extra slippery. So there's 2.
That's true.
Who else?
That's a good point.
I feel like
after seeing him naked, looked pretty oily and slippery.
Who?
Aemond.
Aemond. Yeah, that's true. He did. He did look
like Voldemort.
Yeah, that was gross.
Aemond, eat a burger, my boy.
All right, Sheeds. Here we go for all the marbles here. Name 3 free cities in Essos.
Bravos. Oh shit! No, that's it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. I can only think of Bravos.
Bliss, Tyrosh.
No, is a Shire a free city?
The Shire?
No.
Is
No.
The Shire is a free. It's free. It's a free village.
Pretty sure.
Sims is the champion of 5 seconds. Let's give it up for him, folks. Let's give it up for him. Those of you,
play the noise. Play the noise.
Oh, that's right, Chris. Congratulations. We are now, folks.
Yay.
We did it.
That is what your future 99 cents per listen will get you.
That's a great way to wrap up this episode. Send us your thoughts on season 2, episode 2. Love to engage. Follow, like, share, subscribe. But thanks for joining us, and Sheedy will take us out here.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here, Kins. Rhaenyra, hit me up. I don't have any twins, so it'd be cool. You'd be safe with me.
Check out the hand switch, shooters on swoosh, hitters don't miss. Already just added a ton of y'all to my list. Bitch, death wish, not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots.